Hey everybody, what is going on? My name is Marf Gaming and welcome back to another video. Today I want to discuss the biggest issue in mobile first-person shooter games. I've seen this everywhere. This is a particular issue that doesn't necessarily apply to every single game the exact same way, but this does affect pretty much all games that I play on mobile, or at least first-person shooter games. And it is very obvious, especially once you get into the competitive scene. So first off, I want to go over some things that I'll be mentioning in this video that many people might not know what they are. So I guess you could call this a vocabulary lesson, but whatever. So I'm going to be mentioning something called netcode. Now, this really isn't, a quote thing. Basically, it's a vague term describing the online networky sort of stuff of online multiplayer. So netcode could, be a bunch of different things to many different people in many different games. But when someone does say netcode, they usually follow it up with something that they're referencing to. So hopefully when I say netcode, you guys just get that it's just the way that the players connect to the server, and then the server connects to the players, and how everything is kind of bundled up or whatever. So again, it's not really a thing. It's just a vague term used to describe those types of things. Next up, I want to let you guys know what tick rate is. Basically, it's how many times per second the client and the server is refreshed. So if the tick rate is super low, then you won't see an accurate representation of where the other player is. So if I had a tick rate of 1, that means the updates come at 1 time per second. So that means a player in Bullet Force, let's say, would be moving to one location every second. So you would basically see them teleporting every second. Now, sometimes this has to do with ping. Obviously, the higher the ping, the worse, but I don't think that can be controlled very well in mobile FPS games, except for a ping limiter. Hello, Bullet Force. But yeah, the tick rate is, you want it to be as high as possible. Games like Battlefield 1 on the PC can get up to 120 hertz, which basically means every second the server and the player is updated every 100, or is updated 120 times. And I'm gonna let you guys know why I think in both Bullet Force and in Modern Combat Versus, which are the two games I'm gonna be using as an example in this video, they most likely have very low tick rates. And I'll let you guys know what examples or what outcomes are a result of having low tick rates. So yeah, first off, I want to talk about Modern Combat Versus. Obviously, they are marketing this game to be very competitive. We have the recent clan updates and a bunch of other stuff that really pushes for competitive play. And I can't help but focus in on just the big issue that this game is having, and of course, that's the netcode and the online networking. So one scenario that I specifically see all the time, now that Creeper is a very good agent, is when you're teleporting with Creeper, you die after you're after you teleported. Now, it's not as soon as you click the button and someone's shooting you, you die. No, I wouldn't complain about that. That makes sense. Like, there has to be some latency somewhere. But I'm talking about, almost a second after you teleport, you get shot in the back or you die or whatever. And my ping is fine. I'm assuming the other players' pings are fine. But you die even after you teleport, which is extremely frustrating, because if I teleport on top of something, right, there's no way the player can track me, or the other player can track me through that teleportation. And if I die after I teleported, that's an easy kill for the other person, because I should have been able to get away with it due to my knowledge of, the map and how to use Creeper's teleportation ability. But case in point is that it's really frustrating. After you teleport, you're in another location and you still get shot and you still die. Another issue, and this is with all agents or whatever, all situations, and that's just straight up dying behind cover, getting shot behind cover. This happens all the time. Most likely, this is an issue of players having higher ping over 100 or than what they normally should, but this is also a result of having very low tick rates. If you guys have played Battlefield 3, that game is notorious for having bad tick rates, and you will take cover right after you're getting shot at, and even after you're behind a wall or whatever, and you know you can't be wallbanged behind that wall, you'll still continue to take damage. And that's exactly what happens in Modern Combat Versus. Again, more apparent when you're teleporting with Creeper, but it really happens at all places. So if if I'm getting shot at by Juke or whatever, and I run behind a wall, and I have 300 whatever HP left, and I get shot twice behind that wall, even though I shouldn't be, I'm gonna die, and that can make or break a game, guys. And that's why I think this issue is very important. And on to Bullet Force. Bullet Force is where it gets extremely obvious. If you know who B-Nate's Gamer is, he makes the Bullet Force live commentaries. Yeah, he gets mad at them all the time, and I don't blame him. They're very apparent in his videos. Some of the most common issues are infinite hit markers. I'm sure you guys have experienced this, where you just constantly shooting at an enemy, and they're like bullet sponges, and they absorb all of that. That's not due to it could be a combination of two things. Number one is high ping. This is obviously an issue that is present in Bullet Force. However, because the game uses what's called user servers, basically the servers are hosted on the user's device or on the user's internet connection, rather than having a dedicated server where all the players are connected to. Something can happen, whether the tick rate is low or the server or the player's connections are just bad. Yeah, it just doesn't register shots at all. And again, this is a combination of having low tick rate and high ping. But yeah, it is very obvious, if I'm one off a nuke and I die because someone wasn't, taking damage at all, yet they one-shot me with an AK, yeah, it just gets very frustrating. And when I said one-shot with an AK, you might be like, what? How is that possible? Well, let's say it's not a headshot, it's a body shot. Because the tick rate is so low, your client or your phone or your tablet or whatever might not register that you've been shot 3 times. So when someone shoots at you with an AK, it might seem like they miss, but in fact on their screen they're hitting you perfectly fine, but on your screen your device doesn't register it because of the low tick rate, and so you die within 1 shot, even though it seems like on the other player's screen that they shot you 3 times. On your screen it really only shows that you got shot once and you're dead. So again, that has more to do with low tick rate than it does with high ping. But yeah, so that's just a few specific examples when it comes to 2 games that I play the most, Bullet Force and Modern Combat Versus. However, there is some stuff that I want to go over that should be in all mobile FPS games, really all FPS games in general. Most of this stuff applies to all FPS games in general, whether it be on console or PC, but PC and console have had, these improvements over the past couple years, whereas mobile hasn't. So for all games, these netcode statistics should be publicly available. I should know how many hertz the servers are running at in terms of tick rate. I should know, like, if the server is running at 30 hertz or 60 hertz in terms of tick rate. I should know that. So if I join a server that's 60 tick rate, I should be able to expect better connection and better hit registration and all that stuff. We should know the tick rate of the servers. I just think that should be public knowledge. And yeah, also I think we should be able to know if the server we are playing on is a peer server or a dedicated server. Or when I say peer server, I mean a player server or a player hosted server. So at Bullet Force, it's pretty much all of them, except for, I believe, the generated ones. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the server list, you can see some that says generated and then a random number. I believe that is based on external servers or dedicated servers, but all the other ones are player hosted. I think we should be able to know whether or not they are player hosted or on a dedicated server, so I know to connect to a dedicated server if I really want to play competitively or try hard. So yeah, basically that is it. Let me know what your thoughts are on these issues. Do you think they'll ever be fixed? Do you think they are an issue at all? Do you experience these issues, in the first place? And also let me know other issues that you experience in the comment section down below, and I will catch you all in the next video. See ya.